Mu-Nan, the man who never turned back. Gudo was the emperor's teacher of his time. Nevertheless, he used to travel alone as a wandering mendicant. Once he was on his way to Edo, the cultural and political center of the shogunate. He approached a little village named Tanaka. It was evening and a heavy rain was falling. Gudo thoroughly was wet. His straw sandals were in pieces. At a farmhouse near the village, he noticed 4 or 5 pairs of sandals in the window and decided to buy some dry ones. The woman who offered the sandals, seeing how wet he was, invited him in to remain for the night at her home. Gudo accepted, thanking her. He entered and recited a sutra before the family shrine. He then was introduced to the woman's brother and to her children. Observing that the entire family was depressed, Gudo asked her what was wrong. She said, "My husband is a gambler and a drunkard. When he happens to win, he drinks and becomes abusive. When he loses, he borrows money from others. Sometimes, when he becomes thoroughly drunk, he does not come home at all. What can I do?" "I will help him," said Gudo. "Here is some money. Give me a gallon of fine wine and something good to eat. Then you may retire. I will meditate before the shrine." When the man in the house returned about midnight, quite drunk, he bellowed, "Hey, wife, I am home. Have you something for me to eat?" "I have something for you," said Gudo. "I happened to get caught in the rain, and your wife kindly asked me to remain here for the night. In return, I have bought some wine and fish, so you might as well have them." The man was delighted. He drank the wine at once and laid himself down on the floor. Gudo sat in meditation beside him. In the morning, when the husband awoke, he'd forgotten about the previous night. "Who are you? Where did you come from?" he asked Gudo, who still was meditating. "I am Gudo Kyoto, and I'm here going on to Edo," replied the Zen master. The man was utterly ashamed. He apologized profusely to the teacher of his emperor. Gudo smiled. Everything's life is impermanent, he explained. Life is very brief. If you keep on gambling and drinking, you have no time left to accomplish anything else, and you will cause your family to suffer too. The, the perception of the husband awoke at this as if from a dream. "You are right," he declared. "How can I ever repay you for this wonderful teaching? Let me see you off and carry your things a little way." "If you wish," Gudo said. The two started out, and after they'd gone about 3 miles, Gudo told him, "Just another 5 miles." He begged Gudo. They continued. "You may return now," suggested Gudo. "Another 10 miles," the man replied. "Return now," said Gudo, when the 10 miles had been passed. "I'm going to follow you the rest of my life," declared the man. Modern Zen teachers in Japan spring from the lineage of this famous master who was a successor of Gudo. His name was Mu-Nan, the man who never turned back. This is probably one of my favorite koans outside of the Lose Your Light koan. You can't take a step back in life or a spiritual practice. You have to be like a UFC fighter, moving forward, not taking a step back. If you start compromising on the little things, before you know it, you're compromising on the big things. You just have to move forward. You have to kind of leave your old life behind. And I kind of feel like in America, because of the way we're set up here with capitalism and everything like that, you kind of have to make these little compromises at work, especially because you have to eat. And so you have to smile when you're not happy. You have to do things that you're maybe not ethically feeling right about. And I kind of see the wisdom in this where you kind of have to go all in. It's kind of like poker in that way where there's a certain point you got to put it all on the line and you're regardless of what the outcome's going to be, if you're going to be homeless, if you're going to be this or that, there's a certain point where your moral feelings, your integrity is more important than the outside world. There's like the self-respect element where no matter what someone else does to you, this is a conviction that you're not going to allow to happen. You're not going to allow yourself to make that compromise. There's a joke I think Ram Dass tells once you once you know, you can't go back to unknowing. Kind of the pink slime with McDonald's kind of thing. Once you know the food is bad, even if you like the taste, it's hard to go eat that McDonald's once you know what's in it. It's kind of one of those things, right? Where you, in life, you find out something like that, and it's just really hard feign ignorance when you know better, right? So when you know you kind of have to do better, you might return a little bit, but you know it's wrong. So I just kind of feel like this is a foundational one for me that I always come back to. I come back to it less and less, I find now, because I got it. But that's the beautiful thing about Zen koans. There's koans that I listened to for 5 years. I prefer to listen than to read. That's why I'm doing these videos, because it takes a lot to sit there and read. But there's ones that I really didn't understand the first time around, or I only understand a piece of it, or I understand it half of it, or I understand it something that that was the wrong interpretation or an incomplete interpretation of it. So that's the beautiful thing of the koans. Different points in your life. It's like reading a book as a kid and then reading it as an adult, or watching a TV show and you missed the jokes as a kid because you're too young, too naive. You weren't ready for the certain jokes that were above your head as a kid, kind of thing. So I feel like the koans, I like to keep coming back to a koan um, until I can gain nothing from it anymore. And I think for me, most of the time with the koans, I have you get overconfident and you think you can gain nothing more, and you still find something somehow. And so I really don't give up on one until it's been about 5, 10 years. This one's kind of hit that 5, 10 year mark where I've squeezed enough juice from a stone. There's not much left for me to get. Um, but sometimes I'm wrong. There's ones I'm still struggling with 10, 15 years later where I still don't get it 100%. So don't give up on a koan if you still don't get it. This one's not so esoteric, but just don't give up on a koan just because you don't get it at first blush. Like, even if it feels stupid or it doesn't make any sense to you at all, sometimes that's the point. And one of my early teachers at Pacific Zen Institute used to say something like, to explain the koan is to kill the koan. So I'm kind of doing that right now. By even giving an interpretation, you kind of ruin it for others. I kind of like hearing these without analysis. That's why I like Peter Coyote's 101 Zen Stories and Gateless Gate on YouTube. Um, it only has the interpretation that was provided by the original masters on Gateless Gate, and 101 Zen Stories is even better. It just shows, it's literally just the koan and then it rings a bell, and you just, and not even just pause and think before the next one. So it's 100 koans in a row and with a bell in between. But that was the way I really got into this, because I would just play that while I worked out, kind of thing. And you just, they start getting a little like a mind virus, a little mind worm, earworm, as they say. It's like you start thinking about it, you know, you start thinking about it when you shouldn't be thinking about it. And I try not to listen to koans if I'm working for the same reason. You start getting off tangentially in your own mind. But anyway, if you guys like these, let me know. If you don't, let me know.